reason when I do full screen, it like makes like 75% of my screen go black. I don't know why. It just doesn't like me. Whatever. So state the name, and when you state the name, I'm going to go to that person on my end, and I'm going to make them like the large portion of it, and then when she says your name, just like say hi, I guess. Make it simple.
I'm just doing this all at the beginning?
Yeah, and then once everyone says hi, then go ahead and introduce the first topic.
Okay. So I'm going to say something along the lines of, hi everyone, welcome to our broadcast for Ethics of Treatment Approaches for Special Education 19. I can hear my echo.
Yeah, I can hear it too.
Oh, that's weird.
And, can you hear it?
No, I don't have an echo on my end.
Really bad echo.
I'm super echoey.
I can hear mine like 5 seconds after I'm talking.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Hold on. Let me check something and tell me.
I don't think you'll be able to get rid of that.
Hold on.
Because
you know what? Give me 1 second. Hold on. I am going to... Is that better? Can you still hear yourself?
Let's see. Yeah, I can.
You can? What about now? Can you hear yourself still?
Hello?
Can you hear yourself?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I don't know. It might be like a setting on your guys' systems, because I don't hear myself echo at all.
Okay. Well, I'm going to say that, and then I'm going to say our group members consist of, I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Taylor Warwater. Our other group members consist of Casey, what's your last name?
Stanton.
Casey Stanton. Candace Earls.
Hi. You can't see me.
But Caroline, what's your last name?
Branch.
Caroline Branch. And Randy. What's your last name?
Okay.
How do you say it?
Say that again?
How do you say your last name?
Hoekstra.
Okay, that's good. Okay. Now I'm going to introduce the first topic.
Yep, so go ahead and introduce the first topic, and then who, well actually, everyone's aware of who is speaking during what section, right? From the outline?
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay,
perfect.
perfect. Okay, so then you don't have to introduce who's talking on the outline. It has it in that order. So you can just introduce the topic, state how long the topic is going to last for, and then who's ever going to be speaking first, you can go ahead and talk.
Should we record how long? Because I haven't practiced how long mine's going to be. It's going to be 5 minutes.
Okay. Taylor, as soon as the official debate begins for each section, she's going to state the time limit and then also start the timer.
Is it going to be like an actual debate? She's just going to like cut us off when we're done, or?
Why don't you give them like a 1 minute warning stating like, hey, you have 1 minute left to give like your statement based off of who's ever talking last.
I can do that because I'll be timing it.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start my stopwatch now to make sure that we don't exceed the time limit of 45 minutes.
Okay. Should I start over?
Hey, just out of curiosity, I didn't see in the grading either, but are we docking more for being under or over?
Probably about the same because the time limit is 35 to 45, so there is a period.
Gotcha. Okay.
But like with how many members we have, we're going to be pretty close to 45.
Okay, so we're going to topic ABA is ethical, and Candace is going to start with the pro side. Okay, time limit is 5 minutes.
All right, so I'm going to discuss how ABA is ethical through describing the core ethical principles, the 7 dimensions of ABA, and the BC ABA guidelines. In spring of 1968, Bear and Wolf Weekly published an article, Some Current Dimensions of Cognitive Analysis, that established fundamental characteristics of any good behavioral intervention. These 7 dimensions are effective applied analytic, morality, behavioral, technical, and conceptual systems. Behavioral analysts base their treatments also on 7 dimensions because these dimensions should be used all at once because effectiveness may be compromised. ABA was developed through understanding and changing behaviors, and the main goal of behavioral therapists is to provide effective treatments through applying behavioral interventions in a measurable environment to observe man in society, not just theory. The three main dimensions that I would say are the most important are to provide effective treatments. Behavioral analysts, oh my god, sorry guys, is effective, and behavioral analyst interventions are monitored to ensure strategy effectiveness. They also use the applied dimension by implementing interventions that are based off of behavioral change and useful, especially important, specific to each individual. Also, our therapies are analytic because the data is essential to demonstrate that interventions are correlated to functional behavior change. Next, I want to discuss that the core ethical principles in the code, the BCAB code, and the core ethical principles rely on each other to promote why ABA is ethical. The core ethical principles play a key role in ABA to ensure behavioral analysts improve the lives of others while also maintaining ethical making. These ethical principles are doing no harm, respecting autonomy, benefiting others, being just, being faithful according to dignity, and treating others with care and compassion. Pursue excellence and accepting accountability. The BCAB codes are addressed to the Behavioral Analyst Certification Board. This is a nonprofit organization that was established in 1998 to meet professional credentials needed by RBT, BCABs, BCBA, and BCBA to implement ethical ABA services. These codes guidelines include responsible conduct of behavioral analysts, responsibility of clients, assessing behavior, behavioral analysts and behavior change program, ethical responsibilities of the profession as a whole, and responsibilities of colleague-to-colleague relationships. This also includes public statements, research and responsibility to the BC or BAC. And then this is where I will show my visual, Casey. I don't know if you want to do that, which I don't even know where to start with that.
With your visual, I would, hey Taylor, can you stop the timer real quick?
Yes.
So with your visual, what I would do is as soon as it's brought up, just highlight the key points within that visual and just say, see my visual and just talk about the key points in the chart that you want to talk about. And how many key points do you want to talk about?
How the core ethical principles are related to the BCBA compliance codes.
Okay, so
and it's not really any graphs that I would have to show the significance to.
Okay, so it's pretty much like a brief overview?
Yeah, of what I just
so let's say that adds another minute. Taylor, where would she be at?
If she added another minute, she'd be at 5. So that would be good.
Okay, so you might want to condense a little bit of what you said just to make sure that if you want to elaborate on your visual, you can.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that's good though. Okay. So who is
so now it's Caroline's turn.
Hey, real quick, I'm just having a real hard time hearing Taylor and Candace with that feedback. Is anyone else doing that?
It's like
you can't hear us?
No, it's just slightly cutting in and out. Try turning up your mic on your computer because mine's pretty loud.
I actually can't hear Candace at all either.
I couldn't hear her at all.
Oh damn! I'm really trying to out
because the echo was very bad.
Yeah, it was just a full echo.
Yeah. The only person I can hear well is Casey.
Yeah, and I can hear. I can hear
Casey's the only one I can hear too.
Yeah, Casey's also though.
Casey, you're perfect. No one else.
Do you think it's something to do with, like, because Casey's face is the biggest the whole time. She's the main person. Do you think it's something to do with that?
I'm like really close to my computer because I'm not at a table right now.
Well, you're like the main, like we have like the little ones at the bottom, but you're the main face the whole time. Like
so
the whole screen.
I am switching though in between like each person when they're talking.
He has control over the windows of people.
It's weird. I don't hear an echo. I don't hear an echo at all.
Yeah, everybody but Casey sounds like wah 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 wah.
Why is that? I don't know why. Hold on, let me see. Is there anything that I can do on my end to improve like the video quality? I don't know if I can.
I started thinking maybe it's because my phone's sitting too close to the computer. You know how like sometimes it'll do that like a weird like frequency thing, but I don't think it's that. So.
I have no idea.
Hold up, hold up, hold up. Is that better? Hold on, wait. Is that better?
I need somebody else to talk.
Hers echoed a little less.
Yeah, that sounds better.
Okay, I figured
I
out the
can
problem.
see myself echoing now. That's bad.
So the thing is I may have just cut the audio for my mirroring, but I don't know. So we'll find out. But that was probably why, because you guys were hearing an echo based off of what I'm also recording in the background.
Okay.
I can't hear it because it's my computer. That's got to be why. So when I changed the speakers to my own computer speakers, I had a feeling it'd be better. And I'm winging it, so I don't know, but it worked, so yay. Okay, Taylor, do you want to continue? And I'm going to hit start on my stopwatch.
Okay, so now it is Caroline's turn, right?
Mm-hmm.
So probably at the beginning, we'll say Candace will start with the pro side, followed by Caroline for the middle. That way I don't have to say it again. Or do you want me to say it again after Candace is done?
I can barely hear you still.
Yeah, I got the echo back.
I can't hear myself either. This is horrible.
What is happening right now? I don't understand. I don't know. I don't know why the echo is so bad. Oh shit, I'm still, oops. Oops. I have a stopwatch. I don't know, guys. I don't.
Do you think we're gonna have this problem when we do like the actual one, like the? We might have to do Skype or something.
Watch the YouTube videos, like the examples, because they also have that awful like echo. So hopefully it's a problem that we can fix.
I don't know how we can fix it though.
I know.
Well, and the thing is like I don't have an echo. I don't have one at all. It might be because I'm the one hosting it. I'm not really sure.
Did you download what you downloaded?
No, there wouldn't be a point to it because only one person can mirror their screen. If we all did it, it would be a complete nightmare. Yeah, it would be a disaster. Okay. Like, it would be streamed. So it's streaming live to a YouTube account that I set up for this project. That's pretty much the only purpose to it, is just to mirror it. And I'm trying to like... what's that? What's that noise? I don't know what's happening.
Did you try turning down your volume?
My volume?
Mm-hmm.
I can try it. Hold on. Does that make it better for anybody?
I need somebody else to talk.
Taylor?
Hello?
Yeah, that worked.
Oh, so it's me. I was the problem. I'm sorry, everybody.
Wait, you can hear me now?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wait, it doesn't echo at all either.
Good job, Casey. I was kidding.
Nice job.
I attempted to fix it initially, but I honestly didn't think that it was my overall volume. I thought it was like the volume of my thing. The only problem is like everyone's like really, really quiet. So just tell me when I turn up my volume when it gets annoying so I can hear everyone.
Okay.
Can someone talk? Is that good?
No, the echo's back.
Damn it.
Yeah, it's back.
Sorry.
Okay, is that better?
Yes.
I guess so.
Is it good?
Yeah.
You always sound good, but...
Keep talking for a little bit.
Why do you put your earphones in?
So, like, no echoes for anybody?
Not for me.
No, not right now.
Okay, so like, just talk louder so it doesn't sound like a whisper. my speakers are only at 20% now on my computer, so it's like really quiet.
Okay, so after Candace talks, am I going to introduce Caroline's topic that she's going to talk about for the con side?
Yeah, you can go ahead and do that.
Okay, so I'll be like, and next up, Caroline is going to discuss the unethical practices or procedures within ABA.
Yeah, perfect. All right.
When considering components of ABA, there are some controversial practices within the field that draw some negative attention. I want to discuss a few practices that have been found to be not so autism friendly. One component of potentially damaging ABA practices is the element of compliance, that is forcing your child to complete a certain behavior. Sometimes these behaviors are pretty simple, like touch head, touch arm. These may be an issue when confronting stimuli that is desirable to the client. The BCBA may ask a child with autism to touch something they find repulsive or uncomfortable in hopes of desensitizing them to that thing, a process known as systematic desensitization. For example, if a child is extremely afraid of dogs, the BCBA might expose the individual to a dog several times over a course of a few weeks to months. Some reports from adults with autism point out that that doesn't happen because sensory issues are a result of the individual's unique neurotype. In order to get rid of the sensitivity, you need to get rid of the autism, which, as we know, is not possible, and for many people with autism and their families, is not even desirable. So the idea of desensitization is really more about faking it until you make it. Additionally, some BCBAs will attempt to eliminate or decrease non-harmful adaptive behaviors, such as because they are unusual or different than that of a neurotypical child. Sorry, I can still hear myself, and it's like throwing me off.
Hold on. Can you hear yourself now? Talk.
According to researchers, no.
That's better.
You can?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so like now my volume, guys, has to be at 18.
Okay.
So if I lean in really close, I can't hear anything.
So according to researchers, stimming is a form of self-regulation. People with autism typically feel awkward or uneasy around other individuals and use behavior. A woman with Asperger's states that this behavior is a shelter from the storm, and it is known that behaviors tend to have the notion to make individuals with autism more normalized. This is also a prevalent effect known as, there's also a low prevalent effect known as low generalization. This is something that can be attributed to ABA's approach of learning in a controlled environment. When a learner is introduced and masters a new skill during discrete trial training procedures, there's a low prevalence of generalization for some clients, meaning those skills that an individual has been working on for a period of time in a certain area may only be occurring in those areas. Generalizations should be made before a learner has mastered a skill or a target. Additionally, ABA is primarily done in a controlled environment where the professional is providing the antecedent and the consequences already controlled for. The therapy is not accounting for the times where the client is not in this environment, therefore is in an uncontrolled environment such as schools or home environment. Behaviors are not being carried over. How much more time do I have?
You're at 3 minutes.
Oh shit, well I'm gonna have to add some more then. This is like 2 pages. Am I reading too fast?
You also talk really fast. You could probably slow it down and it would be 5 minutes.
Well, if you wanted to, you could also just paraphrase and like talk in your own words. I've noticed like when you talk in your own words, it usually takes up more time.
Yeah.
So if you like, know what you're talking about, like I'm going to be like paraphrasing a lot of like my stuff.
Yeah. My problem though is like when I'm speaking, like I'll get lost in my own thoughts and that would be just terrible. So I might put like some little like key points under each statement, and then that might add to it as well. But
also, I mean, if you have 3 minutes left, that could be like beneficial as like the debate goes on too. So we can just see
maybe,
if we're like under or over.
Yeah.
If you're concerned about that.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, this is like a lot of information in here, but I can definitely slow it down.
Okay, because right now the total time that we've used is 9 minutes, like 9.5 minutes is the total time I've used, including like the introduction and stuff at the beginning.
Okay.
So.
And I think I figured out why you guys can't see me. Just super side note.
Really? Make it work.
Well, I have to update my computer. I haven't updated it like within the past week, and they said that Mac has changed their built-in camera.
Oh, of course.
So it's not compatible. So hopefully that's it. And after this chat, I can download it. Okay.
Well, once we're done with this, we can test it and see.
Okay. Go ahead. Sorry.
Taylor, are you ready?
Yes. Okay, so Caroline's done. Let me get... So now I'm going to open the discussion to topic 2, therapy methods within the ASD population. We're going to start with Randy on the con side, and he's going to talk about alternate therapies. His time limit is 5 minutes.
Thank you. So I wanted to start off by quoting a letter sent out by the Centers of Medicare and Medicaid Services saying that while much of the current national discussion focuses on one particular treatment modality called applied behavior analysis, there are other recognized and emerging treatment modalities for children with ASD. That was in July 14. That sentiment is also echoed by Melody Musgrove, the Director of Department of Special Education Office Services, when she said in a memo, some IDEA, Individuals with Disability Act programs, may be using ABA therapies exclusively without including or considering input from speech pathologists and other professionals who different types of specific therapies. And so we all know that ASD can be an effective treatment modality for ASD. It's important that we don't shoehorn ourselves into the one treatment, make sure that this de facto treatment becomes the only one that gets considered for the population. In 2005, the National Standards Project was launched by the National Autism Center. Phase 2 of this project was launched in 2015, which basically did a meta-analysis on a massive scale of over 389 studies. Of all these studies reviewed, they found 14 established interventions that have enough research that they can be considered confident as effective treatments for ASD. They also identified 18 emerging treatments. Of those 14, they include comprehensive behavior therapy for young adults under 22, which would commonly be referred to as ABA. Also, behavioral interventions, cognitive behavioral intervention packages, peer training, parent training, pivotal response, language training, social skills, and story-based interventions. So when we know factually speaking that we have 14 established interventions, the plethora of research to back their support, and not providing the full scale of treatment available to a certain population would be an unethical decision. So diving into just a couple of those established treatment interventions. One of them would be CBT, cognitive behavior therapy, which is one of the most renowned and established therapies available. Historically, it's been well established to be effective at reducing anxiety and depressive symptoms. This is also true of the ASD population, particularly where these symptoms are comorbid. Cognitive behavior therapy has also been shown to improve social awareness, social motivation, and social communication. Some of the pitfalls that have commonly been preventative into applying cognitive behavior therapy to the ASD population, things such as lack of communication skills or lack of language to describe the emotional states that they might be experiencing. New technologies are coming along that are going to allow those bridges to be gapped. For example, new therapies enhanced by robots are coming in the emerge scene, and there are already pilot studies out there showing that they have increased rational belief within the population and lower emotional response and sensitivity among the ASD population. Beyond cognitive behavior therapy, there's also, of course, behavior interventions. This is the largest article pool that the National Standards Project reviewed, with over 155 articles and studies reviewed in the second phase. Behavior interventions have been shown to have higher cognitive function results, higher motor skills, antecedent controls, communications, learning readiness, play skills, and self-regulation in the ASD population, while having also shown to lower problem behavior and reduce repetitive behaviors and non-functional play skills. non-functional self-stimulative behavior. A particular strain in the ASD population can also be a lack of social skills. One way that this can be combated is through the use of peer training programs and other established intervention methods, which have been shown to increase learning readiness, communication skills, and interpersonal skills among the ASD population, while also decreasing the presence of non-functional self-stimulatory behavior. One of the downfalls of ABA can be that it can be very stressful on the parents. One of the ways that this can be combated within the training method is using parent training, which involves the parents and allows them to be active participants in their child's therapy, as opposed to just kind of having to enforce the rules that often occur with ABA, which can lead to higher stress levels after treatment has already begun. Parent training has been shown to increase interpersonal and play skills while at the same time lowering general symptoms, problem behaviors, and self-stimulatory behavior.
Okay, just let you know you're at 5 minutes.
Okay, we can pause there, and I might just have to be a little bit more concise to get through those.
So, Taylor, try to do a 1 minute warning. You're the moderator, so if you can be aggressive.
1 minute warning. I was like, by the way, you're done.
You're done. You can be sassy about it. It's fine. It happens all the time in real debates.
I actually lost track of time until it hit 5 minutes, and I was like, oh, shit. He's done. Okay, so yeah, I can give 1 minute warnings. So each section has to be 5 minutes. What if Caroline's is 4 and Randy's is 5?
Okay.
Does that matter?
Well, really what matters is like the overall time.
Right.
So we can make up for that time at the end.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, I mean, that's why we're doing a mock debate now anyways, just to make sure that we're like good. Right now we're at 15 minutes total.
Okay. So, where are we? Okay, so next we have Casey with the pro side, and she will be discussing successful ABA treatments in real life. Her time limit is 5 minutes.
Okay, so while Randy made excellent points towards why there can be issues within ABA, there's also a mountain of research that backs up its benefits and also its ability for long-term effects. The first one that I'm going to talk about is the 3-year case study of intensive ABA that was done by Healy and Connor. And this was a single case study of a 2-year-old child in which she received 3 years of intensive ABA. Essentially, the beginning of her treatment, she only had a 3-word vocabulary. She had... She was very challenging with her behaviors in terms of non-compliance, denied access, so on and so forth. She also had a lot of difficulties overall with communication. She was 2 at the time, so when the 3 years ended, this is actually the visual that, Taylor, if you can bring up the visual. Oh, wait, no. Wait, hold on. Never mind. This is...
Are you sure?
No, I meant to send you this visual, but I didn't. So essentially what the visual shows is the fact that she received high marks after 3 years of intensive ABA therapy with one-on-one, and her language skills, her speech, communication, her behaviors, everything had gone up to a point to where she was able to be introduced in an actual classroom after 3 years of intensive ABA. So what this case study shows us is that the earlier that you start ABA, the better the results can happen when it's very intensive. So more so 40 hours, in other words. The other real life example that I have is 53 parents were interviewed after 2 years of early intervention therapy. Again, this is also intensive, so it was full time. And essentially, a lot of the kids started off with lack of communication skills, lack of language, a lot of the standard problematic behaviors that a lot of the kids in the ABA population have. And this is the visual, Taylor, if you could pull it up. After the 2 years, the parents were interviewed, and in all of the major categories involved with the outcome of their child's results, received very high marks from the parents themselves on their own experiences. So if you switch over to Taylor's screen, you can see, and it's kind of, oh, that's perfect. Thank you, Taylor. So you can see at the, if you can scroll up. Scroll up.
There's nothing else.
Perfect. Nope. Okay, scroll up again. Right there. Right there is perfect.
Okay.
So if, as you can see, when you look at the very top, the first thing is 100%, meaning 100% of mothers and fathers said that the language and communication skills improved drastically from those 2 years of intensive therapy. And again, this is based off of 53 parents that received this. Improved social skills was 84% and 79%. And if you read the actual comments next to the results, these are the actual parents' responses to how they felt their treatment went. Another high mark is also benefits for the parents. More support in the home with having a therapist there to help with the child's needs with autism, also drastically improved within the home itself. There were some pitfalls to this. Since it was a case study, the parents did have to provide their own therapist. They had to hire them themselves, and there were some issues with that. A lot of them complained about how they had to make their own materials. They had to be the ones to kind of guide how it went. Unfortunately, that was how the case study was set up, so there wasn't a whole lot that the parents could do or a whole lot that the people running it could do. But overall, as you can see, over the 2-year span, the most important parts of it were the ones that were improved overall. And again, this was a smaller case study, but I think it sheds a lot of light on how quickly the language and communication skills, the social skills, play skills, things like that can improve, even within a small group. So I know that there are a lot of opinions on ABA, like people saying that their kids could become robots or they don't blend in well with their peers. But according to the case studies that I have read and the 2 that I just spoke of, they're indistinguishable by their peers. Taylor, how much time do I have left?
Wait, did you not hear me say 1 minute warning?
Nope. Because my volume's too low.
Wait, so I said it real quietly because I didn't want to interrupt you.
No, you gotta be rude.
Can you hear me?
You gotta be rude.
I didn't know if you could hear me because I couldn't see my face and I couldn't see like your reaction to see if you could hear me.
Oh, so then I'm good then,
but yeah,
right?
you're at 5 minutes right now.
Okay,
but
perfect. I'm done. That's all I had to say.
Okay, perfect. So you're right on the target anyway.
Awesome.
Wonderful. Okay, so next we will open up discussion topic 3, historical significance. And we will start with Candace as the pro side. And her time limit is 5 minutes.
Okay, so I'm going to start and discuss the pro side of the history of ABA. ABA has a long history, and it all started with behavior modification in 1960. This was based off of a quote that I want to present, and it's behavior modification was based, you don't need to know why behavior occurs, you just need to know only how to manipulate consequences. There were no interest in causes or side effects. It was based off of very informal and destructive consequences that seemed to be very inappropriate to the client. There was no code of ethics. Unfortunately, client abuse led to not only the ethical guidelines of ABA, but all mental health fields. I want to address 2 case studies, the Sunland Miami scandal in 1972 and the Wyan and the Stickney case study in 1970. Under the Sunland Miami scandal was a case where there was understaffing and low quality training. Horrendous acts were performed under Dr. E and his behavior modification ways. His acts were abusive acts, including beatings, isolation, and humiliation. This case led to the Blue Ribbon panel, which eventually led to the development of the Journal of Applied Behavioral Analysis in 1968. Behavioral modification evolved into a professional and respective field, as we now know it, behavioral analysis. Wyatt and Stickney case study happened in 1970 at the Bryce State Hospital in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. It was known as the dumping grounds for people that were considered problems for their families and societies. Staffing ratios were very bad due to the layoffs. The story of the client, Ricky, is what the case highlighted because excuse me. He only had behavior issues, not the mental illness. The significance of this case study was the development of the right of treatment, the legal right to treatment, and the mental health bar, which severely limited the involuntary commitment of people with mental illness in institutions. This highlighted the importance of using the least restrictive measure, which a lot of the ABA practices are based off today. Harmful outcomes of not utilizing the client-based treatments here is the focus and was the, sorry, that you cut out, sorry. But now ABA has more than 50 years of treatments in their experience. ABA therapy was first developed in the 1970s by the psychologists Ivar Lovaas and Robert Krugel at UCLA. The original approach developed was a technique or subset of ABA therapy called discrete trial training, which is still in use today. ABA is evidence-based, derived. This means that it is research-based methodology proven to bring out positive and meaningful change in behavior in individuals with autism and other learning disabilities. ABA has been endorsed by state and federal agencies as well. There is strict education requirements for the ABA field. For instance, in 2015, 15,160 behavioral analysts, 13,000 of them which had master's degrees, and 1,800 had
1 minute left.
All care professionals need to be overseen by behavioral analysts. ABA is based on the service decisions or through the ethical principles and 7 dimensions of ABA and ethical codes of guidelines. That needs to be I need to work on that part. Sorry, guys. Thank God this is a mock. But I finished.
Okay. So you're at 4 minutes and 30 seconds.
Okay.
Taylor, that was perfect. Thank you.
I felt so rude saying that though.
Like, you gotta give like a really sharp, loud 1 minute warning. Like you have to. That's how it's done.
But you heard me that time. I wish I could like just like wave something and then no. Okay, I'll say it.
Put up a cue card 1 minute. You could if you wanted to.
That'd be a little gay, don't you think? Anyway, okay, so let's go to the next one. So now we have the rebuttal from the con side, and Randy's going to do that one, and he's going to talk about the history of ASD. He has 5 minutes.
I was just about to ask about that. The history of ASD?
ABA. Is this supposed to say ABA?
No. His has to do with the history of like the methodology that he's choosing.
Oh, history of. So what are you choosing? I'm
sorry. Yeah, I had misunderstood that. I had thought the question that you had sent from the teachers about the pro con about how would you tell a family whether or not they should choose ABA was going to be that last.
Well, no, a part of the outline is still like so the history, like historical significance. So like for you, it would be like the alternative treatment that you chose for like the historical treatment backing that, which you accidentally said in your first one. Gotcha. Okay. So just instead of using that in your first one, use it in this one.
I was going to say if the first one was over, then.
Oh yeah, you can just break that in half and then use it for the second one. Cool.
Yeah, because you were about to exceed time anyways. So
yeah, so I'll just kind of I'm going to focus more on CBT and talk about the history, which I have a little bit of, But I think then I'll also go back and get a little bit of the other ones that I was touching on.
Okay, yeah, if you want to do that, then we can go ahead and wait on that one for when we do the final, if you want to do that.
Sure.
That's fine.
Cool.
So what's next? The Q&As?
As long as we're on the topic, though, the questions that she sent, that's something that has to be done at a later time?
Yeah, that's the Q&A.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's supposed to take 5 to 10 minutes, you think?
Yeah, so right now, when we add 5 minutes from Randy's time, like for this last section, we will be at a total of 30... Hold on, let me do some math in my head. 32 minutes. So we're fine, actually, because the threshold's 35 to 45.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, and that's even with Caroline having 3 minutes less. So, like, I can just add 3 minutes to that, and we'll be, like, perfect.
Okay. Wonderful. So you want me to introduce the Q&As?
Yeah,
wait, I don't have the
go ahead
actual
and just
question.
say, now we're walking into the question and answer section, and just go ahead and introduce the first question, and just say the total Q&A, the max time limit is 10 minutes.
Okay, do you have the actual questions? Because I do not.
I have 2 of them, like, printed out.
Okay.
Hold on.
If someone just wants to send me those, then I can have them prepared for the actual debate.
Oh, that's on the outline from... I thought you saw that one, the one that had our comments on it. The questions are at the bottom of that. I don't know if that's the one you printed.
No, the one I printed was
Oh, like the original outline?
just this, the original outline, yeah.
Okay, crap. Can I... Hold on. Hold on a second.
Here, Taylor, I'm sending you a picture of them.
Oh, perfect, thank you. Since my screen's, like, shared, I don't want to log into anything. Like, freaks me out a little bit.
Do you get them?
And Candace, are those, like, the order that the professor sent us?
Yeah, they're straight from the outline.
Perfect. Okay, great.
Did you text them to me or email?
Text.
Okay, got it. Okay, so who's answering this one?
What's the question?
So it says, how do ethical codes play a role in your decision to accept a child for ABA versus another type of therapy? Which ethical codes support the use of ABA as a treatment?
Okay, so that's Candace. And then, Carolyn, do you still want to do a rebuttal based off of, like, a different, like, form of treatment?
I don't see how you can answer that, like, on the con side.
Okay.
I feel like it's pretty direct. I mean, maybe you guys can give me some ideas, but I just don't see how we can answer, like, this specific question in a form of, like, another therapy.
What was the question again?
How do ethical codes play a role in your decision to accept a child for ABA versus another therapy?
Yeah, that's really hard.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, what ethical codes support the use of ABA as a treatment? I answered it, but I just got it from the BACB, like the
Casey, if you want me to answer it and then you add your little tidbit with your personal experience and your client, like we discussed, we can do that.
Oh yeah, that's
I
right.
have
Yeah, we can
answered if anybody just wants to.
It sucks because all of her questions were pro side, and I was trying so hard to find a way for it to be the con side too.
Yeah, I think you were trying to like include everybody.
I think maybe she wanted them to be on the con side. Because, I mean, after all, it is, like, our field. That's my view on it, though.
Yeah, but, like, some of them are really hard. Like, the question that Randy and I are sharing, that one's a lot easier.
I have the whole thing answered. Like, if any, like, I just feel like it'd be weird for me to like read my answer like on the pro side when I just came from the con side. You understand what I'm saying? Like I answered this like to my best knowledge, but it just might look weird since I was just against ABA.
Well, yeah, I know. That's why I was trying to figure out a way for like the con side to do it. But if you couldn't find a way to do it, that's fine. Candace and I can do like our backup plan to make sure that we have enough time.
I could figure would maybe to play on. What did you talk about for your alternative therapy, Randy?
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like there would be a lot of overlap in the answer for that on the con side and the con side of, well, I mean, in case you're doing the, whether you would think that a child with ASD should get ABA. Because I was going to talk about some of the ethical considerations that would go into ABA versus another treatment modality. Just like,
yeah, and that's kind of the route I went. I know Casey and I discussed it like last week. That I'm going to discuss it. That there's other things that can probably mask like psychological deficits that can be confused with autism, and then address some codes that help us avoid treating individuals that aren't diagnosed with autism. It may mask like some form of cognitive disability.
So Marilyn, if you want, when she's talking about that, you could also like butt in when she's done and insert something else that you could have found to support it for the con side.
Okay, like, what was her question?
So why don't we just like run through it and we can just wing it? And like, if you feel like you have something that can support the con side when she's done, you can say something. That'll probably be the easiest.
Okay. So for now, who's going to answer the question about the ethical codes, though?
Candace.
So I'm going to answer it, and then Casey has a client-specific example that she's going to add in, I think.
Okay. Because, I mean, everything that I have is pro-sided.
Oh, I'm saying based off the research that you have already for the con side. If you want to, like, overextend that into this when we're done, you can.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I can just give you guys the information. Like, I mean, I definitely spent time on it, but I just don't, like, my only thing is I don't see how, like, the con, like, ethically, like, this is about ethics, like, anything con about it, you know? It's, like, black and white.
Right. So, like, what she's going to be, we'll run through it, because she's going to give examples as to how a child could be wrongly diagnosed with autism. So, if you've come across anything in your research that says that that's common, say it for the con side.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because that's, like, the only way that I could think of how it could play out anyways. I thought that I said that to you, but I might not have.
Right. But that could also be true for any other therapy as well.
Right.
You know, that lies within the practitioner. I don't know. I'm, like, thinking on, like, I'm defending ABA, and this is, like, really difficult for me, so.
No, I know. It's tricky. It's really tricky. Okay, Taylor, do you want to start over? And I'm going to start my stopwatch now.
Start over at which part?
I just reintroduce the question.
The questions?
Yep.
Okay, so now we are going to walk into the Q&A section of this debate. We're going to start with, who's answering this one? You, Casey?
Candace.
And then
so we're going to start with Candace's response to the question, how do ethical codes play a role in your decision to accept a child for ABA versus another type of therapy? Which ethical code supports the use of ABA as a treatment?
I feel like ethical codes can play a huge role in the decision of accepting a child because there's some situations where there can be other diagnoses and other things that can probably mask psychological deficits that can be confused with autism. The BCAB codes address 2.1 or 2.01 accepting clients, which states behavioral analysts accept clients only those individuals or entities whose requested services are commensurate with the behavioral analyst education, experience, available resources, and organizational policies. Behavioral analysts must function under the supervision of or in the consultation with a behavioral analyst whose credentials permit performing such services. And then also, I wanted to address the 3.02 medical consultation. And this states that behavioral analysts recommend seeking a medical consultation if there is any reasonable possibility that a referred behavior is influenced by medical or biological variables. And then this is where I was going to introduce Casey, who has a client-specific example of this.
At my center, we had a child that the insurance company and our clinicians originally diagnosed as having autism. And come to find out, after a few months of treatment, they realized that it was a severe anxiety disorder that the insurance skipped over. They didn't notice it. And it took our clinicians about 4 months. When they realized that she had a severe anxiety disorder versus autism, we ceased treatment after weaning her off for about a month. So in this case, she was wrongfully diagnosed, and they weaned her off treatment like they were supposed to, and they discontinued services based off of the proper codes. She can't be receiving autism treatment if it is an anxiety disorder.
So based on that, that just made me think of something. I think there is a prevalence of practitioners overgeneralizing diagnosis for people with autism as autism so they can receive ABA services. But I would have to find information to back that up.
But see, that's good. That's really good, because with autism services, the insurance company will give out hours, and it is like pretty much 100% funded. So you can look into the ethics of that overall in like the medical community.
Right, and I know right now, just like from my own experience, I worked at a clinic that was primarily made up of children who had autism but did not have autism.
Right,
so
it's basically insurance fraud, so that way they can still receive services.
Exactly. Yeah, and the BCBA knows no better. That's what the practitioner, the problem lies with the practitioner, but I mean, I guess we're enabling it. I mean,
right, and like my company, as soon as we figured it out, we weaned her off and we terminated services.
So that can be a good argument right there.
She was wrongfully diagnosed.
If I can find some like research to back it, I mean, but also I could just use maybe like a personal experience.
I'll do some research. She's really gonna like that rebuttal, like from like the con side, even if it's like a simple like personal experience, like you said.
No, that's what a debate is.
Yeah,
I
hate fighting against my own thing, though. It's like,
I know, that's hard.
You live by this, your whole life is this. Like, this is just a weird project.
It is.
Every question 5 minutes, or all three is supposed to be 5 to 10 minutes.
All three is supposed to be 5 to 10, but I'm still timing it just to see if that's necessary.
Okay.
I'm still timing that. Right now we're at 31 minutes, but we're also missing 5 minutes, so we're at 36.
We're doing good.
Yeah, so we're actually doing really good.
Nice. Okay, so we're going to jump into the next question, which is, how would you help a family understand if ABA, 40 hours a week, was the best therapy choice for a child diagnosed with ASD?
So I think I am starting this one. Oh my goodness, seriously, my time. Okay, so I said 31 minutes, right?
Right.
It started my timer over. That was really rude. I don't know what happened. So 40 hours depends on several factors. It depends on the insurance company. It depends on the family's availability. And it also just depends on the logistics of the situation as well. If the center can provide in-home therapy when the family needs it, if the family has to drive to the center itself, if the insurance company awards a family 40 hours a week, but due to, let's say, the child being in school or the parent's work schedule, they may not be able to do the full 40. I have a lot of kids at my center where they're not fulfilled completely to their full hours, either due to lack of staff or, their schedule isn't just built for that. In one of the articles that I did find, that I did not put a reference on, they said that approximately 50% of children or more that receive at least 40 hours a week of intensive treatment, they do have higher IQs and they are able to be released into a normal classroom within 2 years of starting the treatment, of early intervention. And of those kids that only receive 20 to 25 hours per week, they are far less likely after 2 years. So essentially what the article is stating is the fact that the more therapy they receive early on, the faster and quicker they'll be able to go into a normal classroom amongst their own peers versus needing additional help. The article did state, though, that this obviously isn't a one-size-fits-all. There are still children that do receive 40 hours a week for more than 2 years, and they still need additional help. It's just stating that there is a lot of, like evidence and a lot of factual-based interventions to show this. So, in other words, if a child is awarded 40, if they can make 40 happen, that's in the best interest of the child.
Okay, that's great. I think you answered question 3, though. So that one, question 3 is, are there kiddos that do not need 40 hours of ABA? And 2 is, how would you help a family understand if ABA is the best therapy? Does that make sense?
Wait, what'd you say? Sorry.
So question 2 asks how would you help a family understand if ABA is the best treatment?
Oh, right.
And then so I think you answered question 3 perfectly.
Okay, cool.
Isn't the other one what I'm supposed to answer?
Yeah. Is he doing the second one?
Randy, which one were you doing? So I can't remember if I gave you the other side of my question or if I gave you your own.
Yeah, it's the other side of how would you decide if ABA is right for the family.
Okay, perfect. Then as soon as I'm done, you can jump right in with your rebuttal.
Yeah, perfect.
All right. So yeah, a lot of the same issues that Casey brought up, I would say, are true of the rebuttal side. In order to decide if ABA is appropriate for the child, you'd have to take an individual contextual approach. Some things that would have to be considered, just like Casey said, is the overall intensity level of the ABA services provided. Generally speaking, ABA is between 25 and 40 hours per week, which is highly intensive. There have been some studies that have shown that this has led to increased stress levels within the family. If this is a concern for the family, it's worth looking into other treatments that might have a more parent-friendly outlook, such as parental programs or mindfulness programs that involve parents. These have been shown to have positive impacts on the child, while at the same time decreasing parental stress levels, which can oftentimes be problematic and cause chaotic environments for the child. Just like Casey was saying, insurance companies need to take into consideration parent availability. Obviously, if they're getting 40 hours in-center services, that's going to be a lot of driving. That's going to be a lot of requirements on the parents if they're going to be working 2 jobs or whatever their other requirements are. That's not going to be something that might be feasible for them. Cognitive levels. Obviously, there are some ethical concerns with some of the treatment modalities in ABA, things like doing hand over hand or forcing a child to do something that they don't want to be doing when they're at a certain cognitive level can be an ethical consideration that would give a lot of families pause for considering it. Final thing to consider would be comorbid disorders. Things like anxiety or depression that your child might be dealing with might require a different, or at least a combination of treatments. Things like cognitive behavior therapy might be more effective for a child dealing with anxiety or depression rather than just having autism. 60% or more of children with autism have comorbid diagnoses. That's always important to consider. And that's pretty much it.
Perfect. We're at the perfect time. So that whole thing was 7.5 minutes for all the questions.
Perfect. What's the third question?
So the third question is basically what you answered. Let me get back to it. So that says, are there kids 40 hours of ABA a week? How does one make that determination? Is it the VB map, the parental needs, or the school schedule?
Oh, crap. Oops. I didn't mean to answer that too.
So yeah, no. So whatever you said for the second one, that can directly apply to the third question.
Okay.
You might just need to incorporate like the VB maps or something else in it.
Okay. So then what I'll do is I'll make sure that there is like a nice line between the two of them because they are really similar questions.
They're pretty similar, yeah.
One has to do with how do you tell a parent that their child needs 40 hours or not, and the other one is how do you determine the 40? That's kind of silly that there's like two questions about that.
Yeah.
Now that I'm thinking about it.
Right, okay.
So as of right now, we are pretty much at 40.
Okay.
Is that without the 5 that I'm going to add in?
Yeah.
So that would bring us to 45 in all.
Yeah.
Okay.
So overall, I think this was a pretty good mock.
Yeah, now we just need to, we have exactly what we need to work on, and then I feel like once we put it together, it'll be great.
The one thing that I can recommend, too, is it does make it a lot easier if, like, for mine, I did a lot of, like, bullet points of just things I know I had to, like, mention, and then I just kind of, like, went off of that. It makes it so much easier, and the time goes by a lot quicker, too. And if you have, like, other thoughts that come into your head, you can, like, quickly just, like, pop those out as you're already talking about your other stuff. So, like...
Right.
I don't know if any of you guys would want to do that. It does make it like a lot easier. But I also have no problem with public speaking, so I don't know. I don't know. But just a thought. I mean, overall though, I feel like everyone's points that they came up with were really good. And like, yeah. And I very much loved how Carolyn inserted herself for that rebuttal. Yes.
I mean, I guess that is pretty prevalent. I mean, I've never thought of it as like a downfall of ABA, but I mean, I guess it is.
Yeah, so that's what I was saying. Like, even though these questions seem more so pro-related, there has to be a pitfall in there somewhere. There has to be. So,
okay, well, I mean, I'm going to do some research on that and see if I can find anything substantial, but if not, I'll just come out with like basically the same thing I said. Maybe a little bit more professional, but...
Yeah, so, but that's good, though. And, like, same with Randy. Like, I liked your rebuttal on what I said, too. It was perfect. Like, it was, like, very, like, intriguing because it's the complete opposite of what I was talking about, which is great. Just to make things, like, a little bit more cutthroat.
Yeah, it is interesting to go to the negative side of ABA.
What'd you say?
It is interesting to be on the con side of ABA in the program.
Yeah, it's weird. Well, I struggled with finding certain research about just like the real life experiences because the case studies, they're out there, but they're hard to find. There's more so like the experimental like methodology of it and less so of like real life. It was really hard to find the articles that I found. It was not easy. That was a little tricky. So how did you all think that our mock went? Like, any room for improvement for, like, the next one?
Candace's camera working.
Yeah, after this, I'm going to definitely update my computer because this is so weird.
Wait, weren't you able to bring it up when you and Casey tried?
Yeah, that's a weird thing.
I've had an update that has popped up after Casey and I have talked.
Since then? Oh, that's weird.
Well,
So that's the only thing literally I can think of, but I'm also going to research that. But the mock debate really helped me work the kinks out and know what I really have to go back and work on. So I'm glad we did.
Yeah, and now I know how to separate those two questions. So the next thing, since we're all here, is we have to figure out when we're doing the final debate. I'm going on a trip next week, and so is Taylor. Taylor, when do you come back?
I come back Saturday, so I'm going Saturday to Saturday.
Oh, well, would you guys be free to do it next Sunday? Does that work for everyone?
Let me check.
Let's see.
24th. Yeah, I think I'm good the 24th.
Yeah.
Because I am free after... Let me see
But
here.
I'm free on the 25th, that Sunday.
What'd you say? Oh, wait, whoops. Yes, it's the 25th. Not
Yeah,
Ooh, wrong thing.
it's the 25th.
on that Saturday. I was free on Sunday.
You are? What about everyone else?
Oops.
Yeah, I think I do good.
The 25th?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
I can get off work.
Randy, did you say that works for you?
Yeah, the 25th would work.
Perfect. Does anybody have like a specific time preference? Anything's better than doing it at 9 p.m. So I'm down for whatever.
Sure.
I did not want to say about the technical difficulties.
It's only 9 o'clock still for me, so.
Okay, so does like, how about 6:30? Does that work for you, Candace?
Yeah, that'll work.
That'll work?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm free that whole day. So I'm gonna go ahead and just do this. Okay, so debate live. So 6:30 is good for everybody?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Okay, cool. So what we should probably try to work on is if you notice anything like weird or any kinks, you can send something in like the group message and just get everyone's opinion or anything you're like not sure on, just to make sure that we can nail it. And then Candace, once you do your restart, I'm gonna do a test with you to make sure your camera's working before the debate.
Perfect. I'm gonna do that like immediately. So I'll text you when I'm finished the update.
Okay, cool. Well, overall, for this being a mock, minus us not being able to see Candace or the other technical difficulties and the echoing, it's actually going really well.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, it went good. All right, cool. Well, thanks, guys, and we'll do this again the 25th at 6:30.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, bye.